of Rogue One and how I thought it would be interesting if you fudge the numbers a little bit. If say Jyn makes it out of Rogue One and actually, you flash forward in time and she finds out that Luke was the one who destroyed the Death Star, so they actually teamed up and then they had a kid. I thought that was cool. Obviously, it's not going to happen. It's a good thing I'm a talk show host and I don't write Star Wars movies because that would probably be pretty trite and a little bit cliche. Now, here's the interesting thing to note, and something that we'll talk about towards the end of the podcast, time permitting, as I look at the clock. When asked about another popular theory, Daisy remained coy and said that we should sit tight for one more year to find out about her lineage. Another possibility, she was asked, is that Rey is related to Obi-Wan Kenobi. This theory is supported by her Kenobi-like costume, dexterity with Jedi mind tricks, and love of solitude. What does she think about that? She said, and with my fingers, we will see in a year. Just sit tight on that question. So, there's a lot of context going on with that. Most people are taking it to mean that we won't have to wait until episode 9 to find out the answer about Rey's parents. The way she's saying that, I think that if we're going to find out, and I think we're going to have to find out, right? There's no way. I mean, even if that wasn't the plan with episode 7, they're going to have to figure out and make her parents somebody, because the fandom, beyond the hyper fans like you listening to the podcast, the fandom wants to know. And I just can't imagine Disney going and denying individuals that in the Saga trilogy. I think there would be a massive level of disappointment if she never had any parents or we never found out. Even if they're nobodies, just tell us they're nobodies. I also think it's going to happen in episode 8 simply because you have to do something with it. I mean, I suppose if they are nobodies, you could carry it till 9, but if they are nobodies and she is a new character and they wait until 9, then you're going to have massive disappointment in 9. If they are significant, if she is related to Luke or Kenobi, which is still my favorite theory, I still think her being a Kenobi would just be amazing, then they would need time to do something with it. I mean, even if it's the end of episode 8, where we find out the lineage and then it pays off in 9, you can't really open 9 with that, right? If she is the relative, or if she is the daughter of somebody significant or relative of somebody significant. So, yeah, I think it's fair to say we'll see in a year. Just sit tight on that question. The Daisy Ridley is being coy, still open to interpretation, but at the same time, she also means to say that we'll find out in the next film. Now, it does need to be said that she did say the same thing about The Force Awakens. There was an interview before The Force Awakens came out where she told everybody, I think she said point blank, that her lineage would be revealed in The Force Awakens, and it wasn't. So maybe it was, and they put it on the cutting room floor. I don't know. The last news item, and I'll mention it briefly, even though it's been dismissed, but I just thought it was interesting. In some European movie site put out a runtime of 133 minutes for Rogue One. Pablo came online, though, Pablo Hidalgo, who we were talking about a moment ago, he came online and said that the movie wasn't finished yet, and that and therefore they didn't have a runtime yet. So, be that as it may. I mean, as long as it's a solid 2 hours, I mean, I'm good. But what am I, it could be 90 minutes. It could be an hour, and I'd be happy. I'm easy to please as a Star Wars fan. All right, so let's get to the audio clips, and if there's time, I'll give you, after watching the film again, I know I watch it a lot because I love The Force Awakens, and kind of brought back around because of Daisy Ridley's comments about Rey, I've come to the conclusion that if Daisy Ridley, if that character was played by somebody else, or wasn't given the direction that it was given, or she didn't bring what she brought to it, it wouldn't be, to me, a great film. Rey, to me, and Daisy Ridley's portrayal of Rey, and I've written down several different circumstances of what I'm talking about, or examples, I should say. I think that Rey's character in the film makes that film great. And that without Rey, or having a different actress play Rey, or having her not be who she is in the way that she performs as an actress, it would have just been a good movie. To me, Daisy Ridley and her portrayal of Rey make it a great film. And I'll provide you some examples of what I'm talking about. But before we get to that, and again, if we have time to get into that, because I want to get through these audio clips. These are some clips from the commentary, again, that you can expect when the 3D Blu-ray release of The Force Awakens comes out. And all of these provide some rather interesting insight. And to be quite honest, a lot more information than I was expecting that we were going to ever get in terms of the background of some of these stories. The first one, and I was surprised by this, that J.J. Abrams actually opened up enough to sort of give us his thoughts on what was really happening here, because this particular scene, and it's the death of Han Solo, has been, questioned a lot as to the motivation and what was going through Kylo Ren, what was going through Ben Solo's head when he killed his father. So if you don't want to know what J.J. Abrams said was going through his head, then I would tell you to skip through at least 2 minutes. This clip's a minute, and then I'm going to be talking about it afterwards. So here, listen to this.
People have asked me if I think that Kylo Ren was just playing with him the whole time, if he meant to kill him from the beginning. And the truth is, I think that Kylo Ren in this moment is actually being convinced to walk away from this. Snoke is, as Han says, using him. And I think that somewhere Ben knows this. But I think that he can't accept it deep down. He has gone too far. We were working on this scene quite a bit, trying to find the right rhythm, and it was actually John Kasdan, Larry's son, who helped us with this, and I think really helped us get to a place where there was a lot of emotion, but also this sort of raw uncertainty of what was going to happen.
I want to be free of this pain.
Obviously, anytime two characters in Star Wars go out on an incredibly thin bridge 10 miles above the ground with no railings, it's not going to end well for one of them.
There was an interesting commentary, and my apologies if you're the one that said this, and I'm not giving you credit, but I forgot who said it. But, and look, it's not anything that most of us who have seen the film several times can't deduce. For crying out loud, it could have been me that said it. Either way. Either I said or somebody made a comment that at the end of the film, at that moment, there was some foreshadowing going on. When the X-Wings go to take out the oscillator, Poe Dameron makes the comment that that as long as they're light, there's still a chance. So they're looking at a Starkiller base, sucking the sun into its core, and it's beginning to dim the planet. And so as they're flying around, Kylo Ren says, keep up the fight. As long as there's light, there's still a chance, meaning it's not charged yet. What's interesting is right before Kylo Ren goes and sticks it to Han, that's right when the light goes out. And that Poe Dameron comment was obviously a foreshadowing to, it was too late. So the way that I sort of took what J.J. Abrams was saying was that Kylo was, at the moment, Ben himself, was actually very conflicted over what he was going to do. And that he wasn't 100% sure, and maybe was beginning to turn away from the dark side and was going to go back to the light. It's one of those situations, though, when you really look at it based off of what they've set up. I mean, how do you redeem from that? I mean, he decapitated Lor San Tekka at the beginning of the film. We see later on, we saw already in the movie when he puts his helmet into the kitty litter. Those are supposed to be the ashes of his victims. I mean, it's almost, it goes back to Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader at the end of Return of the Jedi. If Vader had actually lived, that would have been a very awkward moment when Luke flew him in the shuttle back to Endor and comes walking in with Darth Vader. Hey, everybody. Yeah, I know I killed a bunch of your relatives and all, but I'm totally redeemed right now. So, again, it's the liberties and sort of the look the other ways that we have to do as Star Wars fans, because even if Kylo Ren had turned back to the light side, he would have at some point had to have, been punished for what he had done and the murders that had taken place. But getting back to the actual moment, I do wonder that when Kylo Ren makes the comment that I know what I have to do, but I don't think I have the strength to do it. There's two ways to take that. Either one, he needs to give up the lightsaber, or two, he has to fully embrace the dark side and kill his father. And I think that's still completely up to interpretation. The thing that makes it difficult is he tries to hand over the lightsaber, and that's kind of that's kind of saying that he's about to go and give it to his dad, but he changes his mind once the light goes out, right? So the way that I'm kind of working it out in my head. I guess if I were asked point blank the question, what's going on? I think that Kylo Ren knows and wants to kill his dad. I don't have the strength to do it. And because he doesn't have the strength to kill his father, that's what he wants to do. He doesn't want to turn away. He wants to kill his dad, but he doesn't have the strength to kill his dad. And so he's going to hand him the lightsaber, but then at the final moment decides to ignite it and kill his father. I'm going with that. And I'm sure that on multiple viewings, I'll probably change my mind. All right, here's another clip. J.J. Abrams talking about Finn and Rey and their communication with one another. And again, on a couple of these clips, and this might be one of them, the audio's a little wonky. Reason being is I didn't have the way to down convert it off of YouTube, and so I had to record it in a very sort of unconventional way. So the audio's a little bit echoey, so that's why you hear a bit of a difference. It might be like that on this one. If not, it'll be on the next two. So here you go.
Originally, they were much more angry at each other, and truthfully, it wasn't working. Originally in this scene, Finn revealed that he was a stormtrooper. And in this scene...
This was the scene on Jakku when they first meet and she knocks him down with her staff. When BB-8 rolls up, after she's told, or BB-8, I said she, that's funny. After BB-8 has told Rey that's Poe's jacket.
She had never heard of Luke Skywalker, which didn't really make sense because later she's heard of Han Solo and she's been wearing the Rebellion helmets. You just didn't quite buy it. So the idea was that her life was so isolated and so sad and so without hope that the most optimistic thing, Luke Skywalker himself, was nothing but a myth. And the idea is that Finn brings this hope to her. Also, this really fun concoction that Finn is lying to her, that his truth, that he's actually a stormtrooper, is being covered up with this lie about being with the Resistance, which allows for that great moment for Daisy to sort of fall for this guy who's this daring, brave, good man, but of course he's lying. And she's so lost in her own life that even when she hears the name Luke Skywalker here, she doesn't even believe it's real.
Interesting takeaway right there. And I don't know if J.J. Abrams meant it exactly the way he said it, or if it was just in terms of them being friends. But I didn't pick up on it until right now. JJ said makes her fall for this guy. So that would, obviously lend itself to she liked him romantically. And I would have always sort of speculated it went the other way, that it was Finn that was leaning towards Rey in a romantic way. But they're making him say that. And again, there is nothing specific in the film. Most people joke about the fact at the end of the film when after he gets slashed in the back and we don't see Finn anymore, and she says goodbye and he's laid out on the gurney before she takes off to go find Luke, and she says, "We'll see each other again. I believe that," and gives him a kiss on the forehead. That Finn automatically landed in the friend zone, and that just makes me laugh. I do suspect, by the way, that one of them has feelings, and if let's just say that J.J. Abrams was being very specific and saying that she actually does have romantic feelings for Finn. I do find it interesting that if she goes off to train with Luke, and we know there's another character, Kelly Marie Tran, who is supposed to play opposite Finn in Episode 8, if he ends up attached to her when Rey comes back, then you have a very interesting love triangle a la Luke, Han, and Leia, right? A different level, but you do have a love triangle in Episode 8, because I think we're going to have some type of love triangle somewhere, right? I mean, the prequel trilogy had it, the original trilogy had it, and I think the sequel trilogy needs to have it. So if she comes back, it almost ends up becoming a Ross and Rachel, oddly enough, on a number of different levels, very similar. But for those that have watched Friends, when Rachel finally realizes she loves Ross, Ross makes his trip to China or Japan and comes back with a new girlfriend, and right? Okay, so let's get to the next clip, because these are probably the two most interesting ones, and I'll have just enough time to tell you why Daisy Ridley and Rey made The Force Awakens from a good movie to a great movie. This is, again, J.J. Abrams, Blu-ray DVD commentary, talking about the Force back scene when Rey